Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about this chart because it explains very well what we are experiencing here in Bitcoin right now. As you guys know, Bitcoin goes on bull markets, it goes into bear markets, it goes through accumulation phases, but what a lot of people don't realize is that during the beginning of a bull market, oftentimes you have the blow off top that forces Bitcoin to go into a new bull market. It confirms it technically, and then Bitcoin will go into 3 to 9 months of reaccumulation before the bull market really kicks off. This is something that I've been wanting to talk about for many months here on the channel, and I've decided that today is a good day to do that. Because as you guys know, the beginning of 2019 here has been very bullish. We've confirmed that a bull market has started on many different technical indicators, so why is Bitcoin falling? Well guys, I think it actually makes a lot of sense that Bitcoin is falling and trading sideways right here, because if we look back on previous bull markets, what you see is that Bitcoin will have a major rally and then trade sideways for 6 months. We've talked about this, but I want to dive into it specifically in this video, because after it does that, a major bull market kicks off, which will likely be starting in the earlier part of 2020, as we've been saying since the end of 2018. But also guys, I want to dive into some fundamental news stories for Bitcoin today. We're going to be talking about the hash rate and how it doubled in the span of just a couple of days. We're going to be talking about how Venezuela's central bank is looking into using Bitcoin and Ethereum as a store of value on a national scale. And we're also going to be talking about the Lightning Network and how 10,000 public nodes have now finally been created. Guys, I think we've got a great video lined up for you today. If you do enjoy today's video, make sure you smash that like button. And also, if you haven't already, go ahead and follow me over on Twitter. As you can see, I'm a solid 2.3 out of 10 technical analyst, and I received a participation award in the 3rd grade, so you should listen to my opinions. Anyway, guys, without much further ado, let's go ahead and dive right on into it. Thank God for coffee, because this video would probably not have gotten done if I didn't have 3 cups of coffee in me. Anyway, guys, like I said, Bitcoin has had a major rally here this year. It started back over here on February the 8th. Bitcoin pumped, and then you guys probably remember the April Fool's rally where Bitcoin jumped 20% in an hour, and from there, Bitcoin rallied all the way to $14,000. Now, of course, a lot of people left the market during this consolidation because Bitcoin was acting relatively boring, and as you guys know, for the longest time, for like 2 months or more, you can go back on the channel and look at the thumbnails, you will know that this was my opinion. I've been saying that Bitcoin is going to have a major breakout, and it's more likely than not going to be to the downside. I've been talking about how Bitcoin needs to fall down to $8,000 for over 2 months now. This is not news to us here at Crypto Jeb, so it's not surprising that Bitcoin has done that. Now guys, I will say one thing. There's only one thing that concerns me about this market right now, and that's that Bitcoin is falling below the 200 daily simple moving average. Bitcoin very rarely does that during bull markets. As you can see, during bull markets, Bitcoin doesn't do that very often. But there haven't been that many Bitcoin bull markets in history, so if Bitcoin breaks that market structure, it's not the end of the world. It is, after all, only one of many technical indicators. But anyway, moving on here. In yesterday's video, we talked about levels of support, and they extend all the way down to $7,200 before it starts becoming a real problem for Bitcoin and indicating that Bitcoin might go down to or below 6K, which that might be an issue. But for now, guys, I'm looking for a short-term bounce on Bitcoin and maybe a little bit of a recovery. But guys, I also still think it is well within the realm of possibility for Bitcoin to fall down to $7,200 or lower. I want to make it very clear that Bitcoin might consolidate around here for a little bit, but the fact that Bitcoin's been trading below the 200 DSMA for a couple of days now is today probably going to confirm a bearish breakout of it, and it could push us down here to $7,200. So watch out for that. I'd be careful opening a long just yet. Maybe don't try and catch the bottom here. If you're going to open a long position, maybe wait for the uptrend to start again. Maybe wait for Bitcoin to get back up above this level. Anyway, guys, to dive into the meat and potatoes of this video, I want to show you this chart, and I would have drawn this on my chart, but quite frankly, I didn't see the reason to spend 15 minutes getting all this up on the chart when I have this screenshot right here. As you guys can see on this chart, we look at the halvings and we look at when Bitcoin has bull markets and bear markets and accumulation phases, and what we see is that right around the halving is when the bull market really starts to kick off. What we'd be in right now would be considered the expansion phase of Bitcoin, or what I might call the pre-bull market to the bull market. We're in a bull market, but it hasn't really started to kick off really well just yet because we haven't really gotten back to all-time high yet, right? But what normally happens after you get into expansion is that you move into reaccumulation. We saw that on our chart. We saw that after Bitcoin rallied up to about $500 back in the very end of 2015 in November, Bitcoin started to kind of taper off. And for about 200 days or so, that's this part of the market right here, Bitcoin traded sideways. But from there, guys, that lasted all the way up until the halving in about mid-2016. And from there, the Bitcoin bull market really started to kick off. And as you can see right here, Bitcoin went absolutely parabolic. That's the exact same thing that happened over here in 2013 and also back in 2011. This pattern repeats itself a lot. And if you guys remember back to the bear market and the accumulation phase that we've just been in, Bitcoin tends to follow patterns, guys. If we look at the history of Bitcoin here, when Bitcoin fell down here, it was pretty much expected because back in 2014, Bitcoin fell below its level of support at $300. We fell below 6K. When Bitcoin broke a lot of moving averages and set a lot of formations on the chart in motion, we went into a bull market. We did the same thing here, guys. There's so many patterns that I don't want to spend the time getting into, but there are so many patterns that Bitcoin follows in bull markets and bear markets. So it's not surprising that Bitcoin is doing the same thing. We have not reached $20,000 yet. Mainstream media hype has not returned, but the fundamentals are looking bullish as ever. So there's no reason to believe that a bull market is not coming, but based on the chart, there is reason to think that we may be about to see 3 to 6 months of accumulation. And I know that's not what you want to hear, but at the end of the day, guys, what this is a buying opportunity for us, because when Bitcoin consolidates, guess what? That's time that we can go out and make money through trading altcoins, through trading the low volatility on Bitcoin, through other entrepreneurial endeavors, and we can use that time to learn, we can use that time to invest, we can use that time to prepare ourselves for the bull market that's coming, because no matter what Bitcoin does here, I fully believe that a major Bitcoin bull market is going to start. But as I've said, ever since the end of 2018, I've been saying this for nearly a year now, guys, it's probably going to take until the end of Q1 of 2020 for Bitcoin to reach all-time high. It might even take longer than that. This right over here is the halving. This is 6 months away. This is in May of next year. And according to our chart over here, that's right around the time that the bull market should be kicking off. So guys, what's the moral of this story? The moral is Bitcoin follows patterns, Bitcoin has market structure, and what that market structure is telling us right now is that Bitcoin is probably going to consolidate in between about $8,000 to $12,000 for the next couple of months. Guys, that does not mean you should leave the market. That does not mean you should get scared. That does not mean that there is any reason to fret. That does not mean there's any reason to worry. All it means is that it's time to accumulate, it's time to learn, it's time to work, and it's time to make some more money, both now and for the long term through our investing and our trading. So guys, with all that said, let's take a big sip of coffee. And let's move on to some news. What crashed? Bitcoin hash rate doubles in 24 hours despite price drop. And they're absolutely right, guys. You guys are about to see my messy as heck computer over here because I have to, because it won't let me zoom out. Guys, look at the hash rate over here. We jumped from 67 million terahash on the 22nd all the way up to a new all-time high of 108 million terahash 48 hours later on the 25th. People have been talking about the hash rate on Bitcoin and that major drop. Guys, that doesn't mean anything. One single candlestick, for lack of a better word, one single data point on the hash rate charts does not mean that some kind of crazy end of the world apocalypse is happening in Bitcoin, guys. It happens sometimes. I'm not going to get into the math of it, but there are curves and charts and everything I can bring up to show you why this happens. It comes down to random chance. At the end of the day, some blocks are going to be mined in 2 minutes. Some of them are going to take half an hour, even though on average they're supposed to take 10 minutes. And that can affect the hash rate. That doesn't mean that people shut down hundreds of thousands of miners. All it means is that Bitcoin does have a certain degree of randomness built into it because we're working with cryptographic hashing. The hash rate has never looked better. It's continuing to march higher. That's not really a story that I was worried about. In the day before yesterday's video, I think I completely dismissed this as the reason for the crash because, quite frankly, it's just a nothing story. So, moving on. This, however, I don't think is a nothing story. This is actually pretty interesting. Venezuela's central bank holding Bitcoin is just crazy enough to work. Venezuela's government can't afford to pay its bills in fiat, but reportedly has a secret stash of Bitcoin and Ethereum. According to Bloomberg's unsurprisingly unnamed sources, the country's national oil company and primary source of revenue, Petróleos de Venezuela, I think I got that right, is exploring ways to send Bitcoin and Ethereum to the central bank so that the state-owned firm can pay its monetary obligations to international suppliers in cryptocurrency. And essentially the rest of this article just dives into the practicalities of this and whether or not Venezuela has secret mining firms, because apparently we're living in a spy movie. But at the end of the day, guys, what is interesting here is that Venezuela is apparently looking into using Bitcoin and Ethereum pretty much as a national reserve currency. We're going to keep you up to date on this because if this does end up happening, there's definitely going to be more news on this. Not a whole lot to talk about today, but I do want you guys to keep an eye on this. And last but most certainly not least, guys, Bitcoin Lightning Network surpasses 10,000 public nodes. As we can see right here, we're up to 10,002. In a shred of hope amid the chaos in the cryptocurrency market, the number of public nodes in the Bitcoin Lightning Network has seen a sharp rise. At the time of writing, according to DataSoap 1 mil, the number of nodes accounted for is 10,002. The total number of channels stood at 36,217. Additionally, the number of nodes rose 3.16% over a period of 30 days. I got all that in one take. Guys, this whole video we've been talking about the technicals versus the fundamentals of Bitcoin. Right now, the technicals are saying that Bitcoin's probably either going to have another small drop or a lot of consolidation. Guess what the fundamentals are saying, guys? The fundamentals are saying the same thing that they've always said. Bitcoin is going to march higher. There is no reason to be concerned about Bitcoin when the fundamentals are doing better and better and better. We have entire countries talking about basically using Bitcoin as a reserve currency. We have things like Lightning Network that are coming on to solve pretty much most, if not almost all, of the problems that Bitcoin poses with block times and fees when the network is congested, as well as micropayments where the fee would outweigh the usage of Bitcoin. We have things like BACT going on, and even though it has a very small amount of trading, we know that that's going to be a big deal. You need to look no farther than CME Futures and see how many millions of dollars they're trading. By the way, CME Futures closed today at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, so that's something you're going to want to look out for. The fundamentals have never looked better for Bitcoin. I don't care what the chart does, because at the end of the day, the chart is not necessarily a reflection of the fundamental price action of Bitcoin. You have to look out to the very long-term time frames to see any kind of reflection of fundamental price action. The fundamentals are either going to drag Bitcoin up or they're going to drag Bitcoin down. There's a reason that Bitcoin got dragged down over here is because there was no interest in the space and the fundamentals dragged us down. The reason we got pulled up over here is because Bitcoin was far too low and the fundamentals were like, heckin' no, man, we got to go to the moon, and we did. And the same thing's going to happen when Bitcoin moves into 2020 and the hype starts coming back to Bitcoin, especially when we get up to and break through $20,000. I can't stress enough that no matter what Bitcoin does here, we are in a very good position for the market should Bitcoin stay above $7,200 and $6,000. If we start breaking below that, then we might need to talk about a potential bear market continuing or something like that. For right now, everything seems to be just kind of following the charts as we did back in 2015 and 16. So far, there's nothing to worry about. Again, that might change. I'm not going to come here and tell you that we're not in a kind of precarious situation, because we are. I hope I've made that clear in this video, but things look pretty good on the long term. So tell me what you think about that in the comment section down below. Are you feeling bullish on Bitcoin? Are you feeling bearish? Are you going to short? Are you going to long? Are you looking to invest over the next 3 to 6 months as Bitcoin prepares for the remainder of the bull market? Are you scared of Bitcoin? Do you need words of encouragement in tomorrow's video? Always tell me in the comment section down below. Also, if there's anything you'd like to see me cover on the channel here. And also, like I said, guys, go ahead and follow me over on Twitter. I'm trying to be more active over here. The link for that is at CryptoJeb. But anyway, guys, that is pretty much going to wrap it up for today's video. I really do want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching as always. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!